Welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show.
All right, welcome back to New York City. We're calling a little bit of an Omaha here, a little bit of a little inaudible, because he was going to join us in the next segment. He's going to join us for the rest of the hour now, which is great. We just figured we'll sit him right down, since he did hand Michael Irvin a playoff loss back in the day, as we mentioned.
Who remembers that, right? Who remembers
Michael Irvin's still here on the Rich Eisen Show. Put that mic closer to you there, Mike, even though your voice definitely carries. Barry Sanders, Pro Football Hall of Famer, here on the show. How are you, Barry?
Hey, Rich. I'm doing great, man. Doing great. Thanks for having me.
So I just figured I'd bring up that playoff win that's the second time I've done that to Mike now. Do you?
No, I love the fact that you started the show off with that, because I think that's like the most important thing to talk about anyway.
Don't you think? I mean, obviously there are many things for you to talk about. I know, but
not much happened after that, right? Not much happened. Right?
See, you bring it. That might be a sore spot. That's why Barry said Tulu and walked away, right? Because
it would have certainly been nice to have a few rings.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
have a few rings. Just one, actually. Just one would have been nice.
Well, you got a Hall of Fame ring. We know that.
I did. I did.
We got that for you right there, which is good.
That's great. Yeah.
So let's talk running backs real quick. We got obviously one of the all-time greats right here, Irv. What can you tell me about Zeke Elliott right now?
And I want to listen. Let me tell you something. This what trips me out here. And Barry, I want to hear your thoughts on it, because now it's always everybody keeps saying you can win with any running back, or you can win with a number of running backs. I mean, it runs me crazy that when you're the top guy, when there are 25 other teams out here who's running back by committee, they wish they had an Ezekiel Elliott. So now you're bringing his talent down to the rest of the crew instead of telling the 25 teams to go find you a Barry Sanders or Ezekiel Elliott. You see, it blows my mind when people are doing that. I mean, these are unique dudes, man. I was there. I saw Emmett when Emmett came in. I saw all the running backs before Emmett, and we were going nowhere until Emmett got there. There are certain type of dudes that are different dudes. How do you see and how do you feel about how they are treating the running backs now?
Well, Zeke is special, right? Zeke is special. I mean, and you can see it in his production. You see it in the plays that he makes. He has a pretty good line, and obviously has a good quarterback. But every running back, can't make the moves and the yardage that Zeke makes. Even not just running, but in the passing game. So Zeke is special, but no, it's a little bit offensive. The way you say it's been devalued.
Right.
Because when you're in the meeting room and you're watching the games and you understand, okay, this is what play is called. This is responsibilities. You know who like the real players are, right? And sometimes, obviously quarterbacks get a lot of the credit. Sometimes well deserved, sometimes not. But you have a player like Zeke, and he makes it easy for everyone. The bottom line, he makes it easier for everyone. So he's a unique talent.
Well, in terms of Zeke too, it's not the running. It's not the pass catching out of the backfield. It's the pass protection. And he came off the campus in Columbus ready to do that as a professional, more than perhaps any running back that I've seen in the last 10, 15 years. And how many, that's how Romo broke his back once, is because a running back missed a blocking assignment. So that's just another thing.
And the durability.
So what is Jerry up to?
The durability. We're talking about we're talking about Cam. We're talking about Andrew Luck.
Sure.
These guys get hit. What do you sack 3-4 times a game, and they take a couple runs. Zeke get hit every play. And he still plays every play.
And he initiates contact, too. Zeke initiates contact.
I don't care what you say.
Yeah.
When I saw when his rookie year, when he looked up Cam Chancellor, I said, oh, my God. Who looks up Cam Chancellor?
He did. Wasn't that in a preseason game, too, that you looked up
Cam Chancellor?
Cam Chancellor?
Cam Chancellor in a preseason game.
I remember
said,
that.
oh, my God. That's a different dude right there. That was it. I was the biggest Zeke fan from that moment on, because Cam Chancellor makes you check your courage. He makes you check your courage. And Zeke went after him. I was like, ooh, we got something in him, man. Ain't nowhere in the world. I would be scared of Cam Chancellor, man. I was so happy we missed each other in years. I didn't want to see that joke,
absolutely.
Man.
He looked up Cam, and he looked up a lot of other guys after that.
Right.
Like I said, he initiates contact.
Right.
He obviously has that track speed. He can break long ones. but he's also very physical, almost in the mindset of a Walter Payton type guy. So the kid is impressive.
So what? I'll repeat the question that and I understand why you gloss. You would gloss. But what is Jerry up to?
I don't know, man. I'm calling the game Thursday night. I'm pulling Jerry aside, I'll share. I'm going to tell Jerry, like, listen, man, I understand what you're trying to do with everybody. So you want to put Dak in the top 3 or 4 quarterbacks? That's a great position for Dak. That's still in the $30 million. You want to put Amari in the top 2 or 3 wide receivers? That's going to be a great position because Michael Thomas just moved that number to almost $20 million. But Zeke is different, and there is no putting him in the top 2 or 3. He should be. I don't care if you guys can get these egos out the way and you give him $1 more. $1 more. And I remember having that conversation with him about Emmett when I said, go give him $1 more than Thurman Thomas at the time. You had got a deal, and Thurman got a new deal, and then Emmett wanted to be the top guy. So just give him $1 more. Let's get this done. Let's get it done and get it out the way. And another thing, how many times I hear people saying, well, Zeke has no leverage. Stop saying that. Stop saying that. He does have leverage. You want to win a Super Bowl. You're not going to win a Super Bowl without him. That's his leverage, and that's why Jerry keeps inching, as they said in the report, inching toward Todd Gurley's number because the season keeps inching close to starting, and he wants to win a Super Bowl. He has leverage, and right now it's killing us that he's not in camp. It's killing us that he's not there because it's still going to take time. But how long do you think? It'll take time when he gets in camp to really get a rhythm.
It'll absolutely take time. I mean, you certainly need a few weeks with your line, and with the rest of the offense, just timing wise.
Really, even if he's been there and done that with this line.
Well, it depends on what he's doing. Obviously, it depends on what he's doing now. He's working out, whatever. But certainly, just getting into game shape.
Right.
There's nothing else you can do to mimic that on your own. So but at the same time, I'd have to admit that, hey, I had my share of holdouts during my career. Sometimes it just calls for that, and I think Zeke, and it's a personal decision. So he has to do what's right for him. We saw what happened with Le'Veon last year. We hope it doesn't come to that. As a Lions, as a Lions fan, then it doesn't matter that much to me if he holds out. It helps us.
My boy.
It helps us.
It in my face now.
It helps us potentially, but he has to do what's right for himself. But yeah, he certainly has leverage. Because they know. I mean, hey, look, like I was talking about, Jerry know who the players are. Right, and obviously he's a tough negotiator, right? And so he has to see what kind of businessman Zach is, and how convicted he is. But I'm sure at some point in the next few weeks they'll get something done.
But if I'm Amari and Dak, I'm telling Jerry, get this done because this can affect my numbers now. Because now with Zeke, I can go get my numbers. I know my deal's coming. Without Zeke, this thing doesn't go well. Then you're looking at me for my numbers too. My contract that's coming up. I'm like, I just think he's the catalyst on that team, and they need him badly.
Michael Irvin and Barry Sanders together for just a couple more minutes, and then Barry's going to finish up the hour solo here. I had Marshall Falk on the show. Yes. Marshall came in last Thursday.
Yeah, I saw the billboard. They got it running.
Yeah.
Falk training Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah, said trying to make him puke is what he said. He said he couldn't. And he lost the bet with Zeke because that he said trying to get him into football shape, but he made the point that what Zeke is asking for is potentially less than half of what they're going to pay Dak annually. And that in the grand scheme of things, but as Jerry pointed out when they signed Jalen Smith, there is less pie. That's what he said. There is now less pie. That's how he said it. There is less pie.
Rooms. He's so good at that stuff, man. He just loves it.
So ask the poll question of these two guys right here, Chris Brockman, before you say goodbye to Irv and then hang out with Barry Sanders to finish out the rest of the hour.
Okay, guys, which is more likely this NFL season? Gronk returns to the Pats, Zeke signs before week 1, or both?
Michael, you want to take that one first?
Easily. I think it's Zeke.
You think he signs before week 1?
I do. That's why Jerry's inching. He's inching closer and itching more. You know what I mean? I do believe he's going to sign. It's just the whole mentality. You're asking guys to be all in, and you're not doing what you need to do to get guys all in, that mentality will permeate the locker room. I definitely think he'll get it done before week 1.
Okay, what do you think?
Well, how close are we? How close is Zach numbers wise?
The latest thing is that Zeke has been told, according to a report in Dallas, that it's more than Le'Veon Bell's annual salary, but less than Gurley's. He would not be the number 1 guy in terms of guaranteed dollars as well.
But the latest report is he's inching closer to him. And let me tell you what because Jerry tried this when Tim Brown was the highest paid, and I was negotiating with him. He'll try this too now. Well, Zeke, in take-home money, since they have state taxes in California, you're really the highest paid. Like, Jerry, stop, man. Just stop, man. Just stop, because you don't have. He tries anything when you negotiate with him. He went through
the pay stub with you?
Oh, my God, man. I said, come on, Jerry.
FICA? You went through FICA? He went through.
With that, man.
He's also a tax accountant, it sounds like. He's a tax accountant. That's something to consider, though. Something to consider. But to answer your question, Zeke signed it. Yeah, Zeke signed it.
You think Zeke signed it?
Yeah. Answer your question.
Yeah, I guarantee you he's tried. I think he'll sign. I think he signed.
Do you think Gronk might come back? Today he said he would physically be able to play. You might have missed this. He said today, physically, it's just mentally he's not there, talking about how much pain he was in. It took the joy out of the game. And that's the reason why he retired on the Super Bowl. What do you think?
Yeah.
I don't know that he'll come back this season, but maybe next year.
Okay.
I would bank on next year.
What do you think, Irv?
Well, I think what Gronk's going to learn is that a lot of things are more fun when they're the sidekick to football. Now you don't have football, and you think all those things that were fun as a sidekick are real fun as a primary, and you just don't get the same thing. You don't even get the same crowd or the same reaction because you're no longer the tight end. So I do believe he's going to miss the game. Gronk's a fun-loving guy, and all of it comes off of the football. So I think he is going to miss it. I don't know if he can get himself back right to come back and play, but I guarantee you he'll miss the game.
Well, I think
about it.
I think for sure you can't read any tea leaves, but he will, no doubt in my mind, be there in Gillette 2 Sundays from now when Sunday Night Football has the banner raising. He'll be part of the banner raising. I'm sure he'll be there. I'm sure the Patriots would want him there. I'm sure he wants to be with his teammates when they celebrate the title that he helped win. So he'll see that, and then he'll watch them play, and this will be the first time he maybe starts thinking about the juices flowing, and then potentially, hold on a minute, let me walk through this here. Then you know the Patriots offense might be a little bit out of sync.
See this right here, Rich.
Hold on a second.
Now you
the
come
little Patriots out, and the Patriots defense annually takes a while for them to figure out how to quote unquote do your job. Patriots will be like 5-2, maybe 6-3, a couple of losses that you didn't expect. I'm not saying that they're out of it. I'm saying they're going to win the division, but it just won't be ready to be Super Bowl. We'll have the topic bar at the bottom of NFL Game Day morning.
Yep.
What's wrong with the Patriots?
And right there.
Is this the end? Brady, Kurt might have an XO of like, Brady just missed this throw and that throw is a little off. Normally he makes that throw, but
and if that
this
was
guy's
Gronk,
not there.
That would have been a completion.
You see where I'm going? You see where I'm going?
If that was Gronk,
right?
That would have been
and
a
then
completion.
the phone rings.
Yeah.
It's a phone call from a 508 or a 617 area code down to the 305. Hey, Rob, it's TB12.
That I believe. Right there, you hit the nail on the head, Rich. That's the only way I think he comes. But it's just so to say if they have a poor start, and Tom calls him, because you know how much he loves Tom now. If they have a poor start and Tom says, man, do you have anything left in you? Then maybe there's a possibility right there.
I'm saying.
Right there.
I'm painting the picture.
Yeah, that right there could happen. But how much of a possibility is it that the Patriots
we
have a poor start?
Before I say goodbye to you, or if I just while we're on the subject, did you ever get those calls after you retired?
I did.
How often did you get them? From
the first
from the Lions,
first season, from the Lions, from a lot of teams. The Dolphins, a lot of different teams.
Who called you? Walk me through it.
Oh, you'd have to talk to my agent, but I know the Dolphins called. I think the Raiders called. Because I used to have Yeah,
They were
yeah,
trying to-
yeah. Obviously, the Lions call. They call pretty much every other day.
But Al Davis came looking for you? Al Davis?
You could say that. Yeah, you could say that. So
That's all
yeah,
right.
there were calls.
Yeah. Lions
Absolutely.
call every other
Did you ever
day.
call from your quarterback saying, come on back? Like what I just painted, that picture? No?
No, I had so many different quarterbacks.
That's funny. I had lunch with Troy after I decided, my neck was. Troy, he looked at me and said, "Michael, are you really? Is that it really?" I said, "Troy, my neck's broke. That's it. What are you talking about?" It's hard. You have a relationship with those guys. You play with them, and I think that's exactly what Gronk will go through. At some place, if it gets bad for TB12 and the Patriots, and Tom calls him, that would be a tough decision for him to stay away.
All right, so I'll see you later tonight, Irv.
Absolutely.
And then next Tuesday is our NFL Game Day
crank it
Morning
up,
Season preview show.
We crank it up and get it going.
We're going to get it going.
Yes, we look forward to it.
When we come back, just to chat with Barry Sanders, obviously want to talk to you about what you thought of Andrew Luck's early retirement, since the words early retirement and you now has a new photograph next to it in the dictionary. That's Barry Sanders right here on the Rich Eisen Show. Kurt Warner also still to come with our friend Kyle Brandt from Good Morning Football, and your phone calls at 844-204-RICH, number to dial here on the show. Good to see you still sticking around, Barry Sanders. Good to see. It's always great to see you, man.
Oh, thank you, man.
It's always
Thank you.
good to see you.
Appreciate that.
You're one of my faves. Okay, so Andrew Luck's retirement at age 29. Everyone's talking about, wow, that's the age that Jim Brown retired at, 2 years before the last technically shocking early retirement in you. What did you think of when you heard Andrew Luck was stepping away at age 29, Barry Sanders?
I was surprised. I mean, obviously he's been competing in the preseason, not playing obviously, but on the team and around, and everyone is fully expecting him to play. Had a great year last year, comeback player of the year, and he's just an easy guy to root for. But yeah, I was as surprised as anyone. But I understood that when you get to that point where you believe that's the best thing to do. And it's certainly something you have to wrestle with, and I can see in his press conference just how difficult it was for him. It's just a tough decision, and so it's something I think he'll probably wrestle with for a while. I don't know the extent of his injuries, but it sounds like that had something to do with it.
Sure. So how long did you wrestle with it?
I would say, my last season, I kind of understood that going into the off season, that's kind of what I was thinking. And so, certainly a few months. So yeah, I mean, it's so in my case, certainly, I just went back and forth. And then as training camp came, I realized that I need to go ahead and make a decision or make it known.
So, are there any similarities, do you think, between your decision and the one that Andrew Luck just made?
I mean, there's some similarities, but I wasn't injured, and so that really didn't play a part of it.
By the way, that's amazing that a running back with 15,000 yards could say that you were not injured, or at least significantly enough for it to be part of your decision to walk away the game, Barry. That's unbelievable.
I was fortunate in that sense. Well, I had my share of bumps and bruises,
of course,
and injuries and things like that. But in my 10th season, no, I was feeling pretty good, and so that wasn't really a factor. So in that sense, it's not similar, but it's just as far as leaving something that you love, that's so much a part of you. I'm sure that last season must have been one of his most rewarding seasons. Right. And just I think all the promise that all the Colts fans have for this upcoming season and the potential. I play with Frank Reich. He's a great guy, a great competitor. Coach Reich. So I can just imagine the just in that locker room, the anticipation for this upcoming season for the players and fans. So yeah, it was a tough decision to make.
So Barry Sanders here on the Rich Eisen Show. If the season before you decided to walk away was similar to the one that Andrew Luck just had, would you have walked away?
In a sense of how successful they had been.
That's the one.
Well, it would probably been tougher. Did they played in the wild card game, or how far?
They destroyed their division winner in the wild card game. I mean, absolutely eviscerated Houston, and then got pounded by the Patriots.
The Chiefs. They lost to the Chiefs.
They lost to the Chiefs. My bad. That's correct. So they lost to the Chiefs in that game.
I think wins and having that kind of success. That's what it's all about, right? And so I think that would make it tougher to walk away from. Absolutely.
So was it the losing? I mean, I hate to
For
dredge
me.
up. Yeah, because again, then we're all as fans trying to come to grips how somebody how somebody that's so good
Sorry,
at
Rich.
something.
Rich, I'm sorry, man.
No, but how somebody who's so good, if not great, at something that they clearly loved enough to do to the level that they were doing it, could just turn around and say, you know what, life's better without it.
Well, it was only better without it after 10 years of playing, right, and experiencing all the things that I had a chance to experience. That's what allowed me to walk away from it.
Right.
But I think for me it was just a situation where just that drive to continue to play and the passion, and certainly losing is a part of the experience, and that's part of sort of the fabric of why you play, why you exist in the game. And so like I joked earlier about the many different quarterbacks and things like that. When you look back, it was really almost kind of chaotic. You play because you think you have the hope and the potential of being able to be in the history books, and certainly put together the best team every year. But for me, it really just came down to that drive and desire after 10 years. But it's certainly not something that I would have ever foreseen as a young player. It's just something that happened with me, and I think it happens with players at different times, things like that. That's the best way I could explain it.
Barry Sanders, few more minutes left with the Hall of Famer here on the Rich Eisen Show. What advice would you have for Andrew Luck right now, as somebody who retired and shocked the world by retiring earlier than anybody expected?
Well, I think he's handled it well. One thing different for him also is that I think it sounds like he has a family currently, which I didn't have at that time. And I'll answer your question, but if you know Andrew, I've just met him once. My son was coming into Stanford as he was leaving. You talk about just a sharp, well put together, just young man. Who's going to do well regardless. He's going to do well in life in general. I don't know if his degree is engineering or architecture or whatever, but I just think that he's the type of young man that has a lot of options.
Well, I guess the point of it would be then you'd have to figure coming to grips with it, making the announcement is the toughest part, through the toughest part, unless there is regret, phone calls, second thoughts. That's where I guess where the advice might be coming in handy, having done this before.
Well, I think he's going to have to decide. Certainly, is this permanent? Right. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked to maybe see him give it another shot down the road. But like we saw with Brett Favre, not exactly the same, but it's a tough thing to leave. And so, maybe he heals up in a year or so and wants to give it another try. But what you're asking, again, that's really a personal thing. Whether this is permanent, whether, like you were talking about, Brady giving Gronk the call, whether Coach Reich or whoever he's really close to, T.Y. Hilton, if they give him the call mid-season or next off-season or whatever, Mr. Ursay, whoever that is, and can maybe coach him out of retirement, but that's certainly something that he's going to have to deal with over the next couple of years.
And if you find, in the last 2 minutes I have with you, it's brought up pretty much all the time with you, I imagine. Now that it's happened with Luck, it's now brought up to you a lot more. Do you mind being known as somebody retired early from the game?
No, I don't. I mean, it was certainly a difficult time when it happened, and partly just because of how I handled it, But no. I mean, I don't talk about it that much. I mean, I see it as a compliment. Most of the time when people bring it up to me, it's more brought up as a compliment. That I missed seeing you play. I was disappointed to see you retire.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And and like I said before, it was a tough decision to make for a 29-year-old kid. And it's already been 20 years since
Wow.
my retirement. But it's truly something that, man, it's you just have to grapple with. He'll continue really to have to struggle with it and wrestle with it in the coming days and weeks.
In the last minute and a half with you here, Frank Gore might catch you this year.
Really?
Yeah, he's about 500 yards behind you. You're third all time. Is he a Hall of Famer, Frank Gore, in your mind?
Well, I'll let the committee decide that. Frank has had a fantastic career. I'd have to look at, how many years and
Right.
yards per carry average and all that stuff. But I think he will certainly be given great consideration for being in the Hall of Fame. Excuse me. But if you're asking, am I going to put him in? Then I have to take a closer look at it.
All right. Like I said, really appreciate you coming on. I look forward to seeing you tonight at the NFL 100 event. Thanks for coming
Hey,
on, Barry.
thanks for having me,
You
man.
are the man. At Barry Sanders on Twitter and on Instagram. I follow him. You should as well.
For more of The Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV for free on BR Live or download The Rich Eisen Show app.